Hello, hi. Welcome back to the new lecture of sodium potassium pump and the nerve impulse generation and conduction throughout a nerve cell. Okay, impulse generation and conduction. It is actually a part of your NCERT textbook, which is the chapter number 18, neural control and coordination. It is actually taken as a part of zoology, right? So in this lecture, we will be dealing a small portion of that chapter, which is the impulse conduction, nerve impulse conduction and generation, which is actually caused due to resultant of change in sodium potassium pump. Okay, so first we will study sodium potassium pump, and then we will go to the mechanism how a nerve is uh, excited, right, and how a nerve carries a signal. So what is actually a signal, right? So we all are having sensory organ. Most of the organism in the earth have sensory organism or sensory organs with them. Organs. Most of the advanced organisms have advanced type of sensory organs. So as a human being, we have different sense organs for sensing different stimulus, right? So if I take an example of human eye, we have the ability to the human eye have the ability to capture light, right. They have the presence of certain photoreceptive layer in the eye, which is known as retina. In the last, I think in the last part of genetics lecture, I at the last we were discussing about the disorders like X-linked recessive disorder, which is known as color blindness. In color blindness, a human I what happens in a color blinded organism or human being, he can't see certain color, right? Green and red color. He will not be able to see the green and red color. It is because of the absence of certain pigments which is used to capture the red and green pigment get absent in case of such an organism or such a human being, because he is having color blindness. So as a human being, we know that we can sense light, the presence of light or absence of light, with the help of eye. So how we get to know that a light is present or light is absent is the ability of the eye to convert the light energy in a form of electrical energy. So this electrical energy can be sent towards the brain, and brain can process it, and we can understand that we are in a light rich condition or a light absent condition. Okay, we know that there are certain cells like rod cells and cone cells which helps in the light perception. Okay, the mutation in this cell causes the color blindness that we have discussed very deeply in the last lecture. So this is actually a type of signal. What is a type of signal? Like I have mentioned, getting light, perceiving light, which sends a signal to the brain. So how these types of signals are being sent to the brain is by the help of neuron. I have the presence of optic neuron behind the retina. I will show the structure. Look, this is eye, human eye. If we look, we have the presence of cone cells and rod cells. Behind these cells, there is the presence of optic nerve, right? Optic nerve are a type of nerve cell which help in conducting the signal from this retina towards the brain. So that is the condition. So this is a type of signal. So why there is a presence of nerve cell and how this nerve cell work, okay, is the thing that we are going to study today. So the topic heading is sodium potassium pump. So before we go to the lecture, let us check what is happening in your textbook. This is the chapter 18, neural control and coordination. We are going to study actually human neural system, a part of human neural system, which is actually the nerve impulse conduction and generation. Look, this is the thing. This is the part we are going to study. So if you are having textbook, please open page number 231. In this page we are going to study. Okay, look, human neural system. I will say just briefly, like human neural system consists of two major parts, which is the CNS, central nervous system, which consists of the brain and spinal cord, and also the peripheral nervous system, which contains the nerves, mainly the nerves periphery, which helps in conducting the signal towards the organ, from the organ to the brain, from the brain to the organ. They are used. So this is the area we are going to deal in this lecture. Okay, so let's just go to the lecture. First, we can study what is actually a nervous cell. Yes. Okay. First, we are going to study nerve cell. Then we are going to study sodium potassium pump. Then we are going towards the conduction of the signal. So I think you got a small idea what is a signal, right? I think you have got an idea. The idea I said was from on the basis of eye. We can also take it in example of tongue, okay, or touching, anything. These all are on in the basis of nervous system. So going to a structure of neuron, what is actually neuron? Neuron is actually a very unit of the nervous system, which helps in the transmission of a signal. So nerve is a functional unit of a nervous system. Okay, so after that we are now we will be, so nerve is a nerve cell. We have studied in the cell structure. There's a cell biology. There's a chapter in your textbook which deals with certain types of cells, the structures of the cell. Okay, so actually a nerve is a type of cell. There are many different types of cell. Nerve is only a type of cell which helps in the conduction. They arise from a neuroblast cell and they get elongated after. That is not needed, just because there's elongation is needed, right? So if you go to the structure of a neuron cell actually consists of different structures. They have a presence of dendrite, Nissel's granule, cell body, nucleus, Schwann cell, axon, myelin sheath, node of Ranvier, axon terminal, synaptic node. Okay, these are the structures of a neuron. You should have probably a doubt why only a nerve cell helps in the signal conduction. It is because you should understand that nerve cells exist in a polarized state. Nerve cells exist in a polarized state. What is a polarized state? Polarized state is a state when there is a separation of charge, right? When a system is said to be in a polarized condition, it is actually having two ends of charge, right? Negative and positive. So why nerve cell helps in the conduction of an electrical signal is because nerve cells exist in a polarized condition. Nerve cells are electrically excitable. This is the important thing. The nerve cells are electrically excitable, which means they can excite or they can transmit a signal when there is a change in an electric potential. So I have said some new words here, right? What is an electrical potential? I am saying that one child is having high potential in mathematics and other child B is having low potential in mathematics, which means A has higher power of higher skills for solving a mathematical question rather than B. So I will say, what is the potential difference between them? I will say A is having 100 potential, high potential, and B is having only half of the potential, 50. So what is the difference? It is actually 50, right? That's actually potential difference of mathematics in their knowledge. If I am saying in case of electrical potential, it is actually same. Potential difference, a current flow only when there is a potential difference. So this potential helps in conducting an electric signal throughout the nerve cell. This is actually the condition. So if we are going to the structure of neuron, actually a neuron consists of two branches, right? A branch here too, right? This is the dendrite branch and this is the axon. Axon terminal also contains branches. Usually the branching is high in the dendrite region, and at the two termini there is a long part of the cell which connects both of them. Actually it is a part, so this is known as axon. Okay, so a dendrite, an axon, and a axon terminus or a terminal. So you should remember that. So look here, there is another diagram here. There is also a structure of a neuron. This consists of a dendrite, a cell body, and also an axon. look, there is a there's a small symbol given here, right? What does it means? It means that the axon may be, I will say an example, the axon may be sometimes 5,000 to 10,000 times more length than their entire neuron, entire cell body, which means the thing I'm going to mark here may be 5,000 or 10,000 more than length. That is the reason which I have drawn here. I think you can understand it. The length will be 5,000 to 10,000 more. The axon length will be more. That is the reason we have drawn a symbol here for the representation. So you have understood the structure, basic structure, and they are having a presence of a cell body. What is actually a cell body? Every cell has a cell nucleus. The cell body contains their organelle, like the ribosomes, the nucleus, okay, and certain other machinery which is actually needed for the functioning of the cell. A cell needs mainly majority of the organelles, right? So they also have the presence of these organelles which are constricted towards the cell body region. Okay, they are having a presence of a nucleus also. So, and about dendrite we discussed, cell body, and we need to know what are Schwann cells. We need to understand that in a nervous system, apart from that of the neural cells or nerve cells, there are certain other cells also, like glial cells. Okay, glial cells are divided into four: oligodendrocytes, Schwann cells, astrocytes, and microglia. What are the function of these cells? Actually, they have a little role or no role in conduction, but they help in assisting the conducting neuron or the conducting nerve cell. They assist. How they assist? They assist, like example, Schwann cells helps in making myelin sheath for neuron. Oligodendrocytes helps in making myelin sheath for central nervous system. Astrocytes helps in synapse formation, and they also helps in blood barrier. Just understand it, just hear it. We will discuss it very deeply in the coming part. So, and the microglia, which are actually the macrophages in a nervous system. Macrophages means the cells which helps in fighting against an antigen or an external substance, right? So these are the things. So we went from Schwann cells. Schwann cells helps in myelin formation or myelin sheath. You should understand that in a nerve cell, in the axon region will be covered with the help of Schwann cells. What are Schwann cells? They are actually an insulator. They helps in functioning of an insulator, like the insulator which is used to cover a copper wire, which is used to see, which conduct electricity, right? So what is the use of insulator? They will not allow to conduct electricity outside the wire. The same thing is the purpose of Schwann cells, right? So Schwann cells helps in a reduction of the electricity lossage. Okay, they does not allow the electricity to spread out from the nerve cell. This is the thing, purpose of Schwann cells. Next is what is actually a node of Ranvier. A node of Ranvier is that, look, this is an axon. This is an axon. Axon means this part, right? So a myelin sheath will be present here. Myelin sheath will be present here. Each of them are having equal distance, right? So the node of Ranvier is the space here. A node. This is the space here. Node of Ranvier is the space present here. This is known as node of Ranvier. Only in the node of Ranvier there is the presence of electrical signals, which means only in the node of Ranvier there is the absence of myelin sheath. You should understand it. Okay, this is the use of myelin sheath and node of Ranvier. And next is the axon terminus region, which is the end part of the axon, which helps in. So you should understand that. I will just make a change in this diagram. Look, I am going to connect these two neurons. Okay, Just assume these two neurons have been connected. The two neural cells have been connected like a wire to form an electrical circuit. So consider an electrical signal will be generated here, and the electrical signal will be flowing from this region of the cell body to the axon terminus. And from the axon terminus, this neuron will send the signal mostly in case. So this is one neuron and this is two neuron, second neuron, right? This neuron is known as presynaptic neuron. This neuron is known as postsynaptic neuron because the neuron this first neuron got the signal and it is passing the signal to the second neuron. So how does this passage occur? It is by the help of electrical signals that we know. But the electrical signal gets stopped at the synaptic, before the synaptic node. After that, the electrical signals get converted into chemical signals, and the chemical signals are sent into the junction. There is actually a junction between this dendrite and this axon, which is actually known as the synapse. Synapse, or mainly precisely we can say it is a synaptic cleft. We will go much into the deep. First we will look this. So from here, a signal has been generated and it is passing through all the axon, and it will end up here in the axon terminus, and these signals will make some changes in the cell, which makes the cell to send some chemical signal. Chemical signal means actually it is some chemical molecules. Some chemical molecules are released from the synaptic node. Actually, these chemical signals are known as neurotransmitters. Okay, these chemical signals are known as neurotransmitters, which means the electrical signal got at the end of the axon terminus. After that, the electrical signals make some changes in the cell. Actually, the changes are not needed to study. I am just saying generally. They make some changes in the cell at the axon terminus or near the synaptic knob, a knob-like structure, which helps in release of certain chemical molecules which are known as neurotransmitters. So the neurotransmitters have been released into the junction, which is known as the synaptic cleft. In the synaptic cleft, it is near the dendrite of the postsynaptic neuron, which means this neuron number 2. So I will draw some dots here. So these chemical transmitters or neurotransmitters get binded to the dendrite region, so which will make the changes in the dendrite region to create an axon potential in the dendrite region. Actually, action potential is created in the axon hillock region. So in the axon hillock region, the next nerve gets activated. Okay, so this is how an electrical signal is passed from one neuron to the second neuron, and from this neuron, the electrical signal will be sent to the next. It will be sent to its axon terminus, and it will send chemical signal, and it will be accepted by the third postsynaptic cell, and this is how an electrical signal is being transported. Okay. So I think you got a basic idea, understanding about the thing, right? I think we can just go to your textbook and look what is happening there. Look, every definition actually is given in your textbook. That is the reason I am not dictating each and every point, because everything is given in your textbook. Actually, this class is mainly maintained for NEET purpose. So that is the reason I am not going much into the definition. I am just making you understand the concept. So look, we can go through the definitions, right? A neuron is a microscopic structure which consists mainly of three major parts: a cell body, a dendrite, and an axon. Yes, I have mentioned it, right? Cell body contains cytoplasm, which typically is a cell organelle, and certain granules. Okay, they contain certain granules and also certain cell organelles like ribosomes, nucleus, etc., which helps in the maintenance of the cell, right? So they also contains dendrites. The fibers transmitted. Okay, each branch terminates as a bulb structure which is known as the synaptic knob, right? Synaptic knob, look here. The cell ends at the presence of a synaptic knob. And knob, what is a knob? Knob is actually a structure like this. This is actually a knob. Sorry. Look, this is actually a knob-like structure. So each cell ends with a knob-like structure. I have just said a second ago that this knob-like structure helps in the release of certain neurotransmitters or chemical molecules, which helps in the these chemical molecules bind to the dendrite of the postsynaptic cell, postsynaptic neuron, which means the next neuron, so that these chemical will make some changes in the cell body near the axon hillock, which will create a nerve impulse in the next nerve cells, which then the nerve cells will be conducted, the signal will be conducted. We will deal how the signal is being conducted in the coming after we discuss the sodium potassium pump. I earlier mentioned that nerve cells are electrically excitable cells because they are maintained in a polarized condition or polarized state, which means they are having positive and negative charge. We will deal with the charge in the coming part. So next, they contains certain synaptic knobs contain certain vesicles, which are known as neurotransmitters, which contains chemicals. What are vesicles? Vesicles are this is a vesicle. Vesicle is actually a part of a cell, we can say that, or they are containers. We can say that they are containers which carry some information or some chemicals within them. Actually, it is chemicals. So they are containers or bags which they contain chemicals which are known as neurotransmitters. Actually, they are synthesized in the cell body, and from the cell body they have been transported to the synaptic knob or the axon terminus with the help of certain certain cytoskeletal element or certain filaments, which means they have been created here in the cell body, and they have been transported towards the axon terminal region. So this is the thing. Neurons can be divided into three types: multipolar, which means they contain only one axon and two or more dendrites; bipolar, one axon, one dendrite; and unipolar, cell body with one axon, only found usually in the embryonic state. Actually, these are the examples of the or the types of neurons. Okay. Next, a neuron may be myelinated or non-myelinated. Myelinated means they have the presence of myelin sheath. In unmyelinated or a non-myelinated cells, they does not have any presence of any Schwann cells. I said that Schwann cells help in the conduction. How they help? They assist in conduction by not help to releasing the electricity outside. Right? They help in conduction so that the electric signal can easily pass. How is electrical signal passed? By change in charge, that we will be dealing in the coming part. So this is the condition. This is written in your textbook. So now going to, okay, this is just a depiction of how a signal is being transported. Signal comes from the axon hillock region. Usually signal is created in an axon hillock region, transported to the axon terminus. Then there will be a synapse, a junction. In your textbook, there is a good diagram showing it. Look. This is an example, or this is a diagram showing a synapse. If we look into this diagram in your textbook, which is beautifully given, depicted, showing how an electrical signal will lead to a change in the cell, which makes the release of certain chemicals to the synapse or the synaptic cleft region of the nerve cell. Look, an axon is sending here. This is an axon terminus, axon terminal region, which will cause the, actually, before the signal is being reached, the synaptic vesicles will be stored. The synaptic vesicles, which contains the neurotransmitters, will be docked or will be present inside the synaptic cleft. Sorry, synaptic knob or synaptic knob region. The knob region, it will be filled with many neurotransmitters. So when the chemical signal reaches the axon terminus, it will make some changes in the cell, which will make the cell to fuse these synaptic vesicles docked with the neurotransmitter into the plasma membrane and release this chemical outside the nerve cell, which is in the region of the synapse. Actually, synapse is a junction in between the post and the pre-synaptic nerve cell. So look, the neurotransmitters have been released into the junction. At the adjacent side, there will be the presence of the next the next dendrite region, the dendrite region of the next neuron, which is here, which is the yellow color here. So they will be having certain receptors. These receptors will recognize the signal and they will make the change in the cell, which will allow the next cell or the postsynaptic cell to produce the electrical signal in the axon hillock region of the postsynaptic nerve cell. You know what are vesicles? Vesicles are actually a bag-like structure seen in the cell which carry information. Like here, the information is, or they carry some chemicals. Here, the chemical is neurotransmitters. Okay, they also, there are other chemicals also. They are not only carrying neurotransmitter, they also carry certain other chemicals. Also, like the presence of insulin, right? Our body contains insulin stored in a vesicle in a cell. Okay, usually what happens, what is insulin? Insulin is a hormone which helps in the absorption of glucose into the cell. Then only we can make energy from glucose. How energy is made from glucose, it is discussed beautifully in your chapter number 12, respiration. Okay, how glucose makes energy from the cell is by the process of glycolysis, and its continuation process like aerobic respiration also, which helps in production of energy. So glucose is required for energy. After we have a meal, the glucose amount inside our cell increase or inside the blood increase. So they need to be absorbed into the cell. So cell can utilize this energy for making ATP, which is the energy molecule required for cellular machinery. So what happens here? At the time when blood glucose level increases, these vesicles which is present inside the cell, mainly pancreatic beta cells secrete this insulin. So at the time, these pancreatic beta cells will be storing insulin in a secretory vesicle. So this will fuse into the plasma membrane of the liver, and they will secrete this insulin to the blood so that the insulin can help in absorption of the glucose in towards the blood, towards the cell. So cell can use it for the purpose of glycolysis. So this is the basic idea. Okay, so if a person with diabetes will not be having the ability to produce insulin, so his blood glucose level will be increasing because there is no insulin. Insulin can't help. There is no insulin, so blood glucose can't enter the cell for the purpose of energy production, right? So glucose level in the blood get accumulated. I am saying this is an example of a secretory vesicle which helps in secretion. Secretion means releasing of certain chemicals outside, right? Exocytosis. So this is the basic idea. Next, we will be going to discuss about the sodium potassium pump. So I think you have understood synapse. Synapse is the junction which contains presynaptic membrane, a postsynaptic membrane, and synaptic cleft. Okay,